Greetings and peace and blessings to all. Thank you for joining my Aisha Speaks Jade Facebook motivational page. So I decided to do another one this evening, and this will be my final one until tomorrow, as I am enjoying the few more days that we have until it's time to go back to work and get back on our grinds. So this conversation for some could probably be a little difficult, as I must say it probably will be, a little difficult for me, as well, as this is the area of my life that I am working on, and it is a work in progress. And this topic of conversation is going to be about trust. And I know that is not easy for a lot of people. And for those that truly get through it, my hat go off to you with much respect, because I really don't trust a lot of people. And for good reason, as far as I'm concerned. But I am on my journey to not only get into a place where I'm feeling better, but to even learn how to forgive myself about certain things, right? So it's just a long time work in progress, and I'm really focusing on it. And if you can be honest with yourself, you don't have to let me know, but if you can be honest with yourself, that's very good. Again, trust is very difficult for a lot of people, and people are not going to fake it. They're going to be very transparent on how they feel. So if a person genuinely they don't trust you, then they're not going to they're just not going to be bothered with you. So how to trust, especially when you've been hurt. And that doesn't mean just being hurt in a relationship. That could be family, that could be friends. Of course, it could be relationships. If you have children, that could be children. Work. It could be a multiple. It could be a multiple of things. So how to trust, especially when you've been hurt. So most of us have felt like our trust has been compromised at some point in our lives. Needless to say, these experiences can be very painful. Perhaps we're still scared to trust again. We think to ourselves, who can I trust? And how do I know I can trust them? But trust is one of those things that we can't just skip over. It's a crucial ingredient in our relationships. Some call it the foundation. And without it, it's really difficult to settle in and just love. If we want to experience peace and happiness, then we must learn how to trust. And it's my intention to help you do that. So I'm going to talk about what trust is, why it's a choice, and how to feel more of it in your relationships. So this may or may not, you may or may not be able to identify with this. This may even be something that you're not even open to receive. And honestly, that is your choice, your decision. I just want to kind of, speak about some things. So let's start off with the undeniable truth. We all have reasons not to trust. What I mean by this is that we've all felt hurt, disappointed, rejected, scared, and abandoned. We all have suffered in some way. Actually, we've all suffered in very similar ways. And we all have felt pain in relationships. We're all in the same boat. And this is said because it's comforting to realize that we're not alone. We've all been hurt, and we're all trying to avoid that happening again. Usually, the way we try to avoid being hurt in relationships is by holding off on trusting until we know we are safe. Trusting becomes a mechanism of protection. If the person, quote unquote, earns our trust, then we will gladly give it to them. And this is the problem, because there are never any guarantees. You know, sometimes you think that once you get to that level where you can trust a person, and then just one day they really show you themselves. Maybe perhaps they may not show you themselves right away. It may take some time. So then, what do you do with that? So asking someone to, quote unquote, earn our trust, often means we are asking them not to make any mistakes and not to cause us to feel uncomfortable feelings. So let me say that again. Asking someone to earn our trust often means we are asking them not to make any mistakes and not to cause us to feel uncomfortable feelings. And this is an impossible task. Unfortunately, guarantees are not found in relationships. So computers come with guarantees, but not people, okay? And guarantees are definitely not found in our love relationships. We're way too complex for that. So in fact, you're not going to like this probably. What you probably can guarantee is that you will feel hurt, sometimes by the people you love. And I know that all too well. Sometimes our closest people, which can be family or relationships, can strongly be those people that can hurt you the most. I wish I could tell you otherwise, but the truth is that disappointment, rejection, fear, and abandonment are all part of the deal in relationships. We feel these feelings regardless of who we are with. And not because we are with untrustworthy people, but because we are humans. Trusting is a decision you must make knowing that there aren't any guarantees. You have to realize that trust is not about finding the perfect, trustworthy person. It's about signing up to work through hurt when it arises. Okay, so let me say that again. You have to realize that trust is not about finding the perfect, trustworthy person. It's about signing up to work through hurt when it arises. If we relate to trust through this perspective, then trusting becomes much easier. All of a sudden, we shift from trying to avoid being hurt, which is impossible, to recognizing that we can move through anything that comes our way. This helps us feel empowered, aka a little more trusting and a little less fearful. When we use past experiences as reasons not to trust again, then we are really only hurting ourselves. Again, we all have reasons not to trust. We all have a long list. But wallowing ourselves off from each other only perpetuates the problem. This does not keep us safe. It keeps us lonely. So if you are scared to trust, what can you do? Simple. You can make an informed decision and go for it. That's right. Jump in and have faith. When you decide to trust someone, it means that you believe in that person's integrity. And again, this may not apply for everybody. And I get it. And I'm not saying go for this. But if this is an option that you're willing to try in small steps, then go for it. Trusting is knowing that ultimately the person's intentions are good, and it also means that you know that they are going to make mistakes. When we're scared, we make mistakes. And by mistakes, I mean we hurt others. We don't act in our highest integrity. Fear makes us do some crazy ishk. And you should know what that means, short. And if you're being honest with yourself, you know that you've done some crazy ishk before. I know that you can't just blame it on everybody else. You know you got to be accountable and responsible too. It's unfortunate, but it's true. If we could collectively realize this and approach others with compassion when they are wigging out, rather than condemning them, right? This world would be a completely different place. And our relationships would definitely be filled with a lot more trust. If we trust ourselves first and foremost, it allows us to deal with the mistakes of others with a little more grace and ease. If you know that no matter what your partner does, no matter what challenges arise, you are going to be okay. Then trusting is going to be easier to do. You recognize that trust isn't about never feeling another negative emotion again. It's about knowing that you can handle anything that comes your way. This is real trust, which is commonly referred to as faith. Trusting is not about choosing the right person. I mean, it is a choice, so try not to choose blindly. But remember, you are not signing up to be in relationship with a robot, okay? We are not robots. We are human beings, so we do make mistakes. Okay? So, when you are saying what you are saying when you choose to trust someone is, I know that deep down, you are a good person with good intentions. I know you are going to get scared and lose it from time to time. And I will try to support you and or act with compassion when that happens. And I know that ultimately my well-being is up to me. This is a big statement. It's a real commitment. It's also very doable. I understand that sometimes you're scared. I get that you've been hurt. I've been there too. But I want you that no matter what, you are going to be okay. Trust that, believe that, and know that. When you do, you will be able to offer trust to others too. And it will serve as the foundation for many long-lasting, loving relationships to firmly build upon. So I wanted to speak briefly about that, and I hope that did resonate with some of you guys. And I also wanted to speak on 4 steps to restore trust and repair a damaged relationship. So the first would be forgive yourself. And I might be repeating myself, but that's okay. I wanted to resonate for those that it applies to. Forgive yourself. That's one. An important part of the forgiveness process is forgiving yourself. When trying to understand a situation, we have a tendency to generate explanations for why things happen, even if they are irrational. We often blame ourselves. If I was a better person in some way, maybe this wouldn't have happened to me. If I was less gullible, I would have seen this coming. We think if we can find the flaw and fix it, we might be able to prevent it from happening again. Self-forgiveness requires self-compassion and learning that even with your flaws and vulnerabilities, you still have tremendous self-worth and deserve to be treated well. It is important to know that the behavior of the other person was his or her choice and reflects who they are, not who you are. 2, forgive the other person. And I know that can be the hardest thing ever, forgiving the other person. It is impossible to regain trust without first regaining control of your emotional well-being by finding your inner peace with the situation. Many people struggle with forgiveness because they don't want to let the other person off the hook for his or her bad behavior. It is important to realize, though, that forgiveness isn't about the other person, but about your emotional freedom. Learning to forgive and make peace with things that happened in the past can happen more easily when you take your focus off of the specific events that occurred and instead try to see the perspective of the other person. And if you have accomplished that, please leave me a comment, because I'm transparent. I'm not there with some situations. Now, there are other situations I move forward, but I don't know if I've really truly forgave people or that person, so I'm definitely a work in progress. Seeing someone else's perspective can help you understand the events that occurred and make them less personal. It can also be easier to forgive someone when you see them as a whole person. If you find yourself stewing in anger over a situation, try to pull back and remember the good qualities you know the other person has, and recognize that we all have flaws and make mistakes. 3, trust yourself. Honestly, how many people can really say that they trust themselves? I mean, it sounds good when a lot of people say things, but do they really believe in their heart that they trust themselves? So again, trust yourself. It is nearly impossible to trust someone else unless you first trust yourself. A good deal of the fear that people feel when they think about trusting someone who has betrayed them comes from the belief that they will not be okay if it happens to them again. They fear being emotionally devastated by loss, the shame and humiliation of being dumped again, and the toll this would take on their self-esteem. The fear can be so unfathomable, it needs to be avoided at any cost. This is where the work needs to be done. Instead of focusing on why you won't be okay, it is important to know why you would be fine and still be able to live a good life without the other person. And I have to say personally that has taken me a long time to kind of get to, because the pattern just seemed to repeat itself And each and every time it was the same thing. And I was just like, okay, am I really worthy of being in the best, healthiest relationship possible? And so what I did for me was just to take some time out for me. No relationships, no dating, just really doing me, getting me together, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and just overall getting me together, doing the things I wanted to do, and just taking time and slowing down and regrouping, and then having a spiritual one-on-one and really asking for what I want, and then just put it out there and put my faith into action and believe it, and boom, I got what I wanted and a whole lot more. But it's all good though, I have to say. It's honestly the best relationship I've had. I am glowing, and don't get me wrong, there is no perfect relationship. I am not perfect. We have our flaws. We bump heads. We agree to disagree. But at the end of the day, we come back to a middle. And even if we agree to disagree, it's okay. Leave it at that, and we keep moving forward. It is important to know why you would be fine, and of course still be able to live a good life without the other person, especially if you have a history of bad past relationships. If you are like most people, you've probably already lived through several very difficult challenges. Think about what strengths you got. Think about what strengths got you through those times. Some people also fear that they are being weak for not leaving. They may feel like they're weak. They may feel like there is no other person that will make them feel the way that they truly want to feel. I mean, it can be a multiple of different reasons. If there is any type of emotional or physical abuse, you should leave and get professional help if necessary. Please, please, if you are being physically abused, especially physically abused, all of the different types of abuse are bad, but if you are experiencing physical abuse, please do your best to get out of that situation and leave and seek help for yourself. And if you have children, get your children out of those situations. I have been in past physical abuse relationships, and thank goodness that I was in my own place and got them the hell out, because there's just that is just not a fun situation. There are unfortunately so many men and women. Let me put the men and women, because we talk about the women so much being in physical abusive relationships, and it is very important, and I'm not taking anything away from that, but you have these men that are getting physically abused by these women as well. So men and women, if you find yourself especially in physical abusive relationships, get out. You deserve better, please. However, when there isn't abuse involved, in many situations, it takes a good deal more strength to work through a difficult point in a relationship than it does to walk away from it. And again, there's different types of abuse. You have sexual abuse. Yes, it happens. You have financial abuse, verbal abuse. There's different types of abuse. You need to believe that should it become apparent that it is time to separate from the relationship, you will be able to do so and still be a fully functioning person. It's finding this kind of trust in yourself seems very difficult on your own. Consider working with a professional who can help you see the blind spots you can't see in yourself. And please don't feel like you need to be embarrassed to seek some professional help. No, you're not crazy or anything like that. Get some professional help to just kind of get you back focused on track. And 4, trust the other person. Well, let's see. The truth about trusting someone else is that the only certainty is that there is no certainty. And I know trusting people can be extremely hard for a lot of us. Again, it took me some time to get to a point where I can trust my partner or significant other, however you guys call it, but my baby. So it just took me time to trust, and you have to build that trust, and that comes from both parts, both sides rather. Trust is not something that's just overnight. And so what we need to do is stop always jumping into relationships or jumping into situations, because it can become an unhealthy pattern. And then you're asking yourself, why am I not happy? Or why do I feel like I'm just jumping from person to person? Or why am I feeling so alone? You have to check yourself. Like, you have to do that self-check. That's very important. Checking yourself. If you keep seeing like that same pattern happening over and over again. And why do I keep, why does the same pattern keep happening? Because how can I put it? People can, if you have some type of, it's like people can almost see it. So they kind of do the same thing different people will come in and do the same habits to you. And then you get pissed off why you can't never find the quote unquote right person. Take some time out for yourself. Figure who you are. Figure yourself out. So again, the truth about trusting someone is that the only certainty is that there is no certainty. There is always an element of faith in the trust we give to someone. After a betrayal, all you can do is assess the situation and make an appraisal about what you think is likely behavior in the future. Does that person seem sincerely apologetic and willing to make amends? Does the person act with integrity in other areas of their life? Were there circumstances that played a role, or does the betrayal seem to reflect their overall character? Has he or she broken your trust in similar ways in the past? In the big picture, is there more good than bad in the relationship? If the answers to these questions affirm the positive, the choice is in front of you, is whether or not you can accept the flaws of the other person, and again, trust that they will act in the best interest of your relationship. There are never any guarantees when it comes to other people. Only time will show whether trust is deserved. However, withholding trust out of fear or anger will prevent you from emotionally reconnecting with a person and keep your relationship from moving forward in a healthy way. Relationships are vital to our well-being and quality of life. Without the difficult times, we wouldn't be able to appreciate the good times. Working through a ruptured relationship offers you the opportunity to grow as a person and perhaps find a deeper meaning in the relationship itself. So I truly hope that you guys got something out of it. And if you didn't, then that's okay too. But I hope that some of this resonated with some of you guys. And thank you as always for tuning in and listening to me. Make sure that you always take care of the top of your head to the soles of your feet, remembering your self-care, holding your head up high, knowing your self-esteem, knowing your worth, respecting yourself, loving yourself, and liking yourself. Make sure that you guys like and share and support all of my social media. You can find me on any of them under Aisha Speaks Jade. Of course, I'm here on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And make sure with YouTube that you hit the notification bell, you like and subscribe to my channel. And I think that's about it. I will do my other makeup audios hopefully tomorrow and Mondays. So tomorrow is Sunday. Yes, so tomorrow I hope to make up my other two. But if not, you definitely will catch me soon. Always have an enjoyable night. And remember, again, self-care. I cannot say it enough. Self-care. Know your worth, good people. With that being said, positive vibes, good energy, light and love. And hope that you have an awesome, awesome evening. Much gratitude. Ashe.